Picture a country so vast the sky seems to bend around its edges. A place where glaciers shine above apple orchards and wild steppe grasses whisper in winds that have crossed continents. Where dunes sing, granite rises like temples from the plains, and the ghosts of vanished seas still breathe in the salt-scented soil. This is Kazakhstan, a land that refuses to be one thing because it has always been many. From the Caspian coast to the Tian Shan peaks, from Silk Road sanctuaries to futuristic skylines, Kazakhstan is the kind of destination that doesn't merely entertain a traveler, it expands you. It stretches your sense of place, of time, of what countries can be. For too long, it's been a blank space on maps in the imagination of the world. Today, let's fill that space with memory, with color, with awe. Welcome to Tourport's journey across Kazakhstan, a story of landscapes and legacies, of quiet resilience and roaring wonder. Lace up your boots, we're going far. Where the earth remembers, Aktau Mountains and the Caspian coast. Begin in the far western reaches, where deserts drop their shoulders into cliffs that look like they belong on another planet. The Aktau Mountains, whose name means white mountains, rise in soft, chalky folds of cream and blush, streaked with the rust-red memory of ages. They were once the bed of a prehistoric sea, and if you walk their gullies at dawn, the wind feels old, like it's carrying the breath of creatures that no longer walk the earth. Touch the rock, and you touch time. The ridges curl like fossilized waves. Light slides along their edges, turning pale faces into shadowed cathedrals. There is silence here, but not emptiness. The land is full of stories. It just speaks in a language carved by wind and millions of years of patience. Drive a few hours, and that ancient sea returns to the present tense, the Caspian. It is not an ocean, but it feels like one, a horizon of silver water smudging into sky. On shore, the city of Aktau leans into the light. Cafe terraces, families strolling, kites tugging at invisible strings. Follow the rock trail along its limestone ledges, and you'll watch the water change moods with the wind. Inky one minute, turquoise the next. Under these wide Caspian skies, Kazakhstan feels modern and timeless at once. Seals bob in the water as swimmers shriek at the first chilly touch. Fishing boats sway, gulls call, and somewhere a vendor is laughing as he slices melon. The desert is close, but the sea makes everything feel alive. Vanishing and return, the Aral Sea. From the Caspian's vitality, the road curves toward a legend-turned lesson, the Aral Sea. It used to be the world's fourth largest lake, a blue lung lobed between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, rich with fish and livelihoods. Then came decades of river diversion, and the sea began to slip away like a dream upon waking. Boats ended up shipwrecked on dry land. A new desert was formed, called the Aralkum. It is a landscape of sand and salt where waves once clapped. Walk across the old seabed and the silence is eerie, the horizon interrupted by ghostly hulls of ships. They sit there, aground forever, homes to lizards and the occasional nesting bird. People come to take photographs, yes, but they also come to understand. The Aral is a parable, a stark reminder that nature's balance is a fragile treaty, and treaties can be broken. And yet, here too, Kazakhstan writes a quieter chapter of hope. A dam completed in 2005 began to restore part of the northern basin. Slowly, water returned. Slowly, fish returned. Men and women whose parents hung up their nets found them useful again. The reed beds whisper in a wind that once only stirred dust. It is not a triumphant ending. It is something more precious, a second chance. Silk Road, heartbeats, Shymkent, Otterar, and Turkestan. Head south, away from the salt-scoured Aral, and life gathers itself into cities and bazaars. Shymkent greets you with boulevards lined in trees and the friendly bustle that always feels more like a community than a metropolis. It is one of Kazakhstan's oldest cities, and you can sense it. History breathing in the shadow of modern cafes, spices perfuming the air near tea houses where conversations stretch long and sweet. Just outside Shymkent lies Otterar. You stand among its ruins and imagine the thunder of hoofbeats, the dust of armies. Once Genghis Khan's forces moved across these fields like a dark storm. Here, too, is the mausoleum of Arslan Bab, a revered Sufi saint from the 12th century, its archways worn smooth by generations of pilgrims' hands. They come from across Central Asia, carrying the weight of their wishes and gratitude. Follow the thread of devotion, and it leads to Turkestan, where faith and empire became architecture. The mausoleum of Khoja Ahmed Yasawi rises in shades of sun-fired brick and blue, an immense testament built by Tamerlane himself more than 6 centuries ago. Walk beneath its turquoise domes. Listen to your footsteps echo through arched chambers. The geometry seems to hum with sacred proportion, as if each tile holds a prayer. The Silk Road is not a museum in this region. It's a living rhythm. Carpets unfurl in markets where children chase each other around sacks of rice and tea. Words slip between Kazakh and Russian and Uzbek. You feel the old caravan spirit not as nostalgia, but as a thread connecting past and present. Wild Sanctuary, Aksu-Jabagli Nature Reserve. Not all sanctuaries are built by human hands. The Aksu-Jabagli Reserve, the oldest protected area in Kazakhstan, is a rolling hymn to life itself. Spring in the western Tian Shan is a kind of color fever. Hillsides aflame with wild tulips, petals opening like tongues of flame. It's said these mountains are the ancestral home of the tulip. Imagine, the flower that became a craze in Europe once swayed here, unseen by Western eyes. In meadows, nobody rushed, nobody traded. Higher up, the ridges are the realm of the snow leopard, elusive monarch of ice-shadowed ledges. You won't see it. You will feel its presence the way you feel a secret in a room, something alive, aware, watching. Argali sheep cling to slopes that defy logic, and marmots whistle from the grass as if laughing at gravity. Walk a narrow path through juniper-scented air. Feel the world fall away. Aksu-Jabagli reminds you what wilderness means. Not danger, but balance. Not absence, but eloquence. Life interlocked, each piece holding up the others. Almaty, the city of apples and warm light. Eastward, the road unwinds into Almaty, the city that belongs to mountains. The Trans-Ili Alatau range rears up like guardians behind it, their crowns white even when the streets below are in shirt sleeves. Almaty's name comes from apples. Wild orchards once draped these hills, and botanists say that the domestic apple as we know it likely began here. Perhaps that's why everything tastes a little more alive in this city. You feel it on long avenues shaded by poplars, in the susurrus of fountains, in the easy mingling of generations. At Panfilov Park, the Ascension Cathedral stands like a wooden miracle, built without nails, painted in colors that seem to hold the sun. Nearby, the green bazaar hums. Vendors call out, offering dried apricots that taste like pockets of summer, honeys thick as amber, spices that stain your fingertips golden. Try Kort, those tangy dried cheese pellets. Sip kumiz, fermented mare's milk, and feel a deeper connection to the steppe and its herding past. Take the cable car up to Koktov at dusk. The city spreads below in an emerald shimmer, streetlights threading patterns into the dark. Somewhere, a saxophone wails from a rooftop bar. Somewhere, a child negotiates for more pistachio ice cream. Almaty is big but intimate, cosmopolitan and gentle, the kind of place that doesn't try to impress you and ends up doing so anyway. Skiing to the sky, Shimbulak and Madiu. In Almaty, the mountains are not just a backdrop, they are a staircase. Ride the gondola from Meadow to Shimbulak and watch the city shrink into a green quilt. Meadow's claim to fame is the world's highest open-air skating rink, where rosy-cheeked skaters glide beneath blue winter skies. Above it, Shimbulak rises in switchbacks of slope and snow. At 3,200 meters, the light is so pure it feels like a new element. Skiers etch loops and lines into fresh powder. In summer, the trails bloom with wildflowers, and the air tastes like cold pine. Each breath empties you of noise. Each step fills you with space. There's a moment, on a chairlift, on a ridge, on the terrace with steaming tea, when you look back at Almaty laid out like a map, and you understand why people choose to live at the foot of these peaks. The mountains don't just make the city beautiful, they make it feel possible. Stones that pray, Tamgalitas on the Ili River. Leave the tangle of streets and follow the Ili River north, where the land opens into something serene and the cliffs learn to speak. Tamgalitas is an open-air gallery of faith, a cliffside sutra. Here, carved into stone nearly 350 years ago, are the faces of Buddhist deities. Calm, compassionate, so delicately rendered you half expect them to exhale. Dzungar artisans made these carvings, weaving Mongolian vigor and Tibetan grace into a single devotional hand. Imagine monks traveling across the steppe, carrying their gods not on banners but in chisels. Imagine them choosing this place because the wind has a certain sound, because the river curves like a blessing, because the stone agreed to remember. You stand in the sun, the Ili glinting behind you, and trace the inscriptions with your gaze. The figures are still. The world rushes. Somehow they anchor the flux of time. Stones of faith indeed. Singing sand and painted mountains. Altin Emel National Park. From Tamgalitas, drive into a geography that feels assembled to astonish. Altin Emel is one of Kazakhstan's crown jewels. A park that holds multitudes, dunes that hum, mountains that blush, deserts whose silence sounds like a soft conversation. The singing dune is the star, a 150-meter-high sand mountain that can produce a deep, resonant tone when the wind moves across it just right. Climb to the crest, let the grains run like liquid under your feet, and listen. A bass note rising from the earth itself. It's not constant, not guaranteed, like anything alive. But when the dune sings, it's impossible not to feel that the land has a voice, and we are only now learning to hear it. Nearby, the Aktau and Katutau mountains unspool in colored layers, pinks and cinnamons and ochres that look like the sediment of sunsets. Erosion sculpted them into folds that resemble draped fabric, as if the desert tried on a silk robe. Przewalski's horses graze in the flats, wild and muscular, their lineage a direct rope to the ancient steppe. Gazelles flicker at the edge of sight like sparks. Look closely, and history peers back. Petroglyphs appear on stones. Bronze Age burial mounds swell barely above the surface, like breaths held for thousands of years. In Altin Emel, nature and time are collaborators. The wind is their curator. The Split Sea, Lake Balkhash. Northward, the horizon changes yet again, and a crescent of blue replaces dunes and ridges. Lake Balkhash is a quiet wonder, one of Asia's largest lakes and arguably its strangest. Its western half is fresh water, its eastern half, salt. A liquid yin and yang, a union of contradictions. Stand at dawn when the lake is a mirror and the sky seems to have spilled itself. a pelican glides with a prehistoric grace. Herons move through reeds like calligraphy. Golden eagles circle so high they are black punctuation marks on a pale page. Fishermen still map routes their fathers knew by heart, though the fish now are fewer. When the sun goes down, the water holds the light like memory, rose, gold, then a blue so deep it feels like sleep. Balkhash has a way of making you quiet. You feel its patience. You feel the tenderness of places that have simply existed, supporting life, asking nothing but respect. Granite Miracles, Bektau Ata. Drive north from Balkhash, and the steppe stretches flat, a seemingly endless tabletop. Then suddenly, the table upends. Bektau Ata rises out of the plain like a vision, an island of granite, its domes and slabs meeting the sky in pink and gray. The name means Father of Mountains, and the honorific land's true. Wander between its rounded forms. The rock has been sanded by wind into shapes that seem deliberate, as if sculptors came in the night. Caves open like secrets. Arches frame views so symmetrical they look designed. In cracks where water clings, tiny oases of green make their own quiet worlds. Moss, a sprig of something stubbornly alive, a lizard basking with regal self-possession. Climb until your breath is a metronome. Turn. The steppe unrolls to every horizon. You might think emptiness awaits, but it isn't so. The grassland is an ocean of subtleties, color shifts, animal paths, the silver of a river stitched into distance. Bektau Ata reminds you that the extraordinary can rise from the ordinary, that the familiar hides astonishments if you walk far enough. Alpine pearls, Kolsai lakes, and the submerged forest of Kaindi. Return to the Tian Shan, where air carries the clean chill of snow and pine. The Kolsai lakes sit like a staircase of mirrors, 3 bowls of emerald water set at different altitudes. Trails thread through spruce forests, and the world smells like resin and rain. At dawn, a mist drapes the water, and the reflection of the trees seems more solid than the trees themselves. Ride a horse along the track if you like. They know the way better than any map. Picnic by the shore and watch dragonflies score lazy arcs across the surface. In the right light, you will swear the mountains are leaning in to listen to the lake. Then go to Kaindi, where the earth rearranged itself just over a century ago. An earthquake sent a landslide down, damming a gorge. The valley filled with water and drowned a forest, but the trees did not fall. Their trunks rise from the lake like the masts of a ghost fleet. Beneath the surface, their branches remain preserved in the cold, piecing a Gothic cathedral of wood and light. The water is a strange turquoise that photographs never quite capture. Kaindi holds both beauty and loss in the same breath, and that paradox feels true to the Tian Shan, to the steppe, to the country as a whole. Here the land keeps its memories, even when it transforms. Fire and Stone, Charan Canyon. East of Almaty, the road stretches toward a red wound in the earth made by water and time. Charan Canyon is called Kazakhstan's Grand Canyon, and while comparisons can be useful, they can also be unfair. Charan is itself, an 80-kilometer gorge carved into strata that glow when the sun low burns the sky. Walk through the Valley of Castles and feel the world narrow into grandeur. Towers of rock, weathered into fortresses, stand on either side, silent as old kings. The path descends, and suddenly you hear the Charin River, speaking the language that made this place. Persistence, flow, a patient chisel. At sunset, the canyon becomes a furnace of amber and copper, and the air feels charged, as if the rock itself holds memory of fire. Sit at the edge and let the scale reset you. The planet is so old, and we are so brief. Yet here you are, witnessing. It's enough to make you vow to use your small time well. Tomorrow's skyline, Astana, the capital of intent. Now, turn your compass north to Astana, a city that seems to have been drawn before it was built. It rises from the steppe with a futurist's confidence, glass and steel, curves and angles that catch the light like choreography. This is not a city that evolved. It is a city that was imagined, then realized, and it carries that boldness like perfume. At its center stands Beitarek, white and slender, crowned with a golden sphere, a glass egg high in the sky. Legend tells of a mythical bird that laid a golden egg upon the world tree, life renewing itself in cycles. Ride the elevator, step into the orb, and look out across a plan unfolding. Wide boulevards, the sinuosity of the river, the geometry of newness. Then there is Khan Shatia, an enormous transparent tent that glows like a beacon at night. Beneath its canopy, shops, cafes, people strolling with the easy pace of those who don't need hurriedness to feel alive. There's even a beach club, a wink at the absurdity of building summer under a roof and making it work. Astana can feel like a thesis statement. We will be modern. We will be ambitious. We will be ourselves. And yet, beneath its bold silhouette, you still find the same Kazakh warmth that threads through a yurt on the steppe or a family picnic by a mountain stream. Pride, hospitality, pragmatism, old virtues in new clothes. The restful north, Borovo, Kazakhstan's Switzerland. End where the land itself softens. Borovoy National Park is a dream of pines and water, a quilt of forested hills stitched with blue lakes. People call it Kazakhstan's Switzerland, but locals know nicknames can't contain affection. They come here to breathe. Walk around Lake Borovo in the early morning and the world feels rinsed. The air tastes like resin. Birds rinse the silence with song. Granite peaks shoulder the shores and get reflected back, gentled in the still water. Out in the lake stands Jumbaktas, Rock of Riddles. A stone so oddly shaped you can't help seeing faces in it, beasts, perhaps even a sphinx. Legends say it posed questions to passers-by and revealed their hearts. Whether that's true matters less than the fact that stories live here as comfortably as trees. Find a trail. Let it lead you to a vantage where the lakes lie like dropped sapphires. Sit. Time slows down, not because you will it to, but because it chooses to. You are a guest in a landscape designed for rest. The people thread. Landscapes are chapters, yes, but people are the thread that binds them into a book. In Kazakhstan, hospitality isn't performance, it's identity. You will be offered tea in places where you expected nothing but a view. You will be fed until you laugh in surrender. You will learn to say Rahmet, thank you, and it will never feel like enough. In yurts on the steppe, elders tell stories about winters when the snow learned to live in their bones. In Almaty coffee shops, students argue about design and democracy and what it means to be modern and Kazakh at once. In small villages, children race bicycles down dirt lanes and the old men watch, remembering how fast time moves when you're not looking. Taste beshbarmak, that national dish whose name means 5 fingers, because it is meant to be eaten with your hands. Noodles, boiled meat, usually horse or mutton, onions, broth. A feast that suggests celebration and consolation at once. Break bread, share stories. You will find that the human here is not so different from the human at home, except when it is, in ways that make you grateful for the journey. Seasons and moods. Kazakhstan changes clothes dramatically. Summer brings heat to the steppe. Thunderheads towering like mountains. The Caspian twinkles with swimmers, while alpine meadows dress in wildflowers and bees. Autumn gilds the orchards. The air sharpens, and markets glow with harvest. Winter is a test and a joy. Shimbalak becomes a kingdom of glittering lines. Cities put on a generous coat of light. Spring is a revelation, green rushing in like a tide, tulips setting hills on fire, rivers letting go of their ice-bound patience. Choose your season, and Kazakhstan will choose a mood to match you. The quiet of understanding. What is the story Kazakhstan tells to those who listen? That beauty and tragedy often coexist, that landscapes remember and forgive but never forget, that the future can stand upon the step without crushing it. That journeys worth taking are rarely about checking boxes, and always about letting yourself be enlarged by the places you move through. It is easy to list the highlights: Aktau's white ridges, the singing dunes' low hum, Yasawi's turquoise domes, Kandy's drowned forest, Charon's burning stone, Astana's golden egg, Borovo's gentle waters. But the soul of this country lives in the spaces between, in a quiet roadside tea, in a shepherd's wave, in the sky at dusk when cranes cross the bleeding edge of the sun. Threads of light across a vast land. By now, our circle has closed, from west to east, from sea to mountains, from ancient sanctuaries to cities that point a long finger into the future. We have stood at the Caspian's edge and felt the breath of a living water. We have walked the Aral's dry bed and learned humility. We have prayed with stones at Tamgali Tas and with geometry at Turkestan. We have skied toward the sun, ridden horses by emerald lakes, chased the echo of the dunes' song, and watched a canyon burn without fire. Kazakhstan is not just a destination. It is a lesson in scale, in patience, in possibility. It is a mosaic of contrasts: salt and sweet water in one lake, deserts and glaciers in one horizon, silence and song in one breath. It asks you to take your time, to expand your maps beyond their old edges, to love a place for its wholeness rather than its parts. Come for the landscapes, yes. Come for the architecture, for the markets, for the stories. But stay in your mind, for the feeling that you are walking through a living tapestry, each thread ancient and new. Stay for the way the wind carries history. Stay for the way the people turn strangers into guests and guests into family. Pack wonder, pack patience, pack a notebook. You will need all three, because this is Tourport, and this has been Kazakhstan. Stunning landscapes and hidden treasures revealed. A journey threaded through places that define a nation of horizons. From the ghost-white folds of the Aktau Mountains to the turquoise sweep of the Caspian at Aktau's rock trail, you learn that Kazakhstan isn't just terrain, it's a living timeline. The wind still turns pages here. It lifts chalky dust from ancient seabeds and presses salt into your palms on the modern shore. Listen closely, and each stop speaks in its own voice. The revived North Aral whispers resilience as reeds return and boats edge back into water. Shymkent hums with Silk Road cadence, market chatter, tea steam, the hush at Aristan Bab's mausoleum. In Turkestan, Khoja Ahmed Yasawi's blue-domed sanctuary gathers sunlight into quiet prayer. Southward, Aksu Zabagli blooms. Wild tulips blush on slopes where snow leopards melt into shadow, reminding you that wilderness is a kind of scripture too. Almaty breathes apple-scented mornings and alpine evenings. Panfilov Park's nail-less Ascension Cathedral glows like old craftsmanship set gently in a modern city. From Koktob's ridge, glass and green braid together, while Shimbulak, reached by the gondola above Medeu, offers snow in winter, pasture-sweet trails in summer. Up the Ili River, Tamgali Tas speaks in stone. Buddhist faces weathered into compassion, inscriptions that hold a traveler's quiet plea, let our faith echo. Altin Emel answers with music. Climbing the singing dune, you feel sound gather underfoot, a low golden note when the wind strokes sand just right. Nearby, the candy-striped ridges of Aktau and the brooding flows of Katutau paint geology in watercolor. Farther north, Lake Balkhash divides itself, fresh to the west, briny to the east, a single body teaching you duality. Bektau Ata rises from the steppe like a granite apparition, its domes and hollows proving that solitude can be cathedral-like. In the Kungay Alatau, the Kolsai lakes ladder up through spruce and mist, and Lake Kindy keeps its submerged forest like a dream you can swim through. Green water, pale trunks, a world paused mid-breath. Charin Canyon burns at sundown, its valley of castles carving the sky into crenellations. Then, on the northern steppe, Astana stands like a declaration. Betarek's golden sphere, Khan Shatir's shimmering tent. Future forward, yet threaded with the same warmth you met in roadside tea houses. And to exhale at the end, Borovo's granite islands, the Jumbakta's rock of riddles, balancing on blue water, pine air tuned to quiet. If this sparked a new pin on your map, subscribe to Tourport and share this story with a fellow traveler. More stories are on the way.